Hi everyone, and welcome back to the CMS podcast, where we're exploring the latest trends shaping cloud, IT, and digital infrastructure. I'm Davinder, as you know.
Hi everyone, I'm Raveena, and in our last episode we called OpenShift Virtualization and why so many organizations are currently reassessing their EMI strategy.
Today, we're taking a step back and we're focusing on the IT that's powering many enterprises out there, Red Hat Enterprise Linux.
Linux is everywhere now, and well continues to be one of the most trusted enterprise operating systems in the world.
And joining us today is Don from Red Hat. Don, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
So I think maybe let's start with the basics and from the beginning. For someone who has heard of RHEL before, but isn't entirely sure what it is, how would you best describe it?
RHEL is a Linux operating system that's built for the enterprise. A lot of people hear the word Linux and they think developer, DIY enthusiast, tech geek. That's not what Linux is. It might have been what Linux was in its very early days, but Linux is now the number one platform of choice for businesses to host their applications on. And RHEL is a bulletproof version of a Linux operating system that we can serve to the enterprises for them to run their applications on, whether that's critical databases or AI workflows, whether that's on-premise or in the cloud. Red Hat provides an enterprise-grade supported version of Linux for our clients to be able to use.
I think you hit the nail on the head with what you said at the beginning. That it seems to be very technical, only for developers, and actually that's why we wanted you here today, to make it easier for people to understand, and hopefully we can simplify the messaging, make it a bit broader for a lot more people to reach out and want to use it.
Brilliant. That sounds good.
So what are you seeing in the market at the moment? Because organizations are under pressure to modernize faster than ever.
Yeah, I think fortunately in my job, I get to spend lots of time with clients in all different shapes and sizes. And there are three key things that I'm seeing at the minute. One is increasing security. Two is reducing costs. And three is simplifying their IT estate. People have made so many technology choices over the years. There's now a massive need to standardize to improve efficiencies, rather than managing all these different piles of technical debt.
So I imagine that's why, in general, Linux has become a lot more important.
Oh, most definitely. Linux is one of the key things that you can standardize on being RHEL throughout your estate. Linux is not just the old back-end infrastructure operating system anymore. It's the home of your cloud workloads, the home of some of your AI development, and the majority of the platforms that are really going to drive revenue for your business will sit on RHEL. So it's become so much more critical now than ever.
And I imagine now, more than ever, that's how Linux has just become even more important for people.
Absolutely. The role of the operating system has completely changed. It's not just sat at back-end infrastructure anymore. Whether it's cloud migrations, AI readiness, or securing your whole enterprise environment in a way that is consistent. RHEL is the key foundation to that now.
And that's it. I think that's a really good messaging for us to our customers. Yeah. So the last thing we want to do is turn this into a boxing match, but kind of where would you say RHEL sits with regards to other Linux providers on the market?
Yeah. So at Red Hat, we're an open source company, and there are thousands, if not tens of thousands, open source operating systems out there. Every organization has different needs, but RHEL, and the reason why RHEL stands out is because it's ready for the enterprise, and we've been doing that for over 20 years. If you're running some of your most critical applications, some of your largest cloud migrations, or just even device edge environments, you want something that when things go wrong, there's going to be people to answer the phone in support you're doing. Likewise, the innovation that we provide, there's so much innovation that happens in the open source. We basically enable organizations to be able to use that in an enterprise fashion.
So it's not just the operating system itself with the ecosystem behind.
Exactly. It's everything around the operating system that makes RHEL so important. It's the automated tooling. It's the ecosystem of certified providers we deal with. And the way also it's the way that you can use it on your data center, in the cloud, at the edge, with consistency, with that enterprise level support.
I think that's why, from obviously selling it every single day, that's how we see becoming one of the leading Linux platform providers globally, essentially. So, leading on from what we've just said, whilst we know RHEL is the leading Linux provider globally, we found at CMS that a lot of customers are actually starting to standardize on RHEL, which is great news. But they're not upgrading, they're just starting to use extended lifecycle support. So for the rest of this conversation, let's just say ELS.
Yeah.
Whilst that's great news and they're standardizing, we want people to upgrade and actually move to the next level. But we're finding, and not a lot of people are aware of that upgrade. Are you finding the same thing when you're having conversations with your users?
Yeah, so it's a difficult one. Extended lifecycle support can help in the immediate, but there are reasons why people have to use extended lifecycle support, or ELS as we called it. Say, for example, an application is certified against a certain version of Rail, where they can't get the application teams to move forward, redeploy the application, or certify it on a later version. So it provides a plaster, and that plaster is temporary. It's not something that lasts forever, so they do eventually have to start looking at what are their upgrade options. And that's quite a daunting thing for my client, because it's going to need a lot of time, could be a lot of money. What they often aren't aware of are the toolings that are included within Rail, the likes of the Leap tool, that can actually do those upgrades for them in a much more simplified way.
So the conversation stopped around support deadline, but then stopped on the strategic.
Yeah, so you have your support deadline where it might just be a client saying, I need this to be running and I still need that enterprise grade support. So ELS might be a good answer for them. But as we look at that and we look at the upgrade paths, it can actually fundamentally change the way in which they manage their life cycles moving forward.
Yeah, and I think really it's about getting around immensely. A lot of people think that the actual upgrade and move over to a new version is much more disruptive than it actually is. Is that the case?
Yeah, it really does depend. There are a lot of dependencies that go into upgrades, but with things like the Leap tool, we can actually do in-place upgrades without downtime now. So this is certainly something that a lot of our clients don't really know about.
So really about balancing short-term stability with long-term modernization.
Yes, definitely. An ENS should always be seen from our clients as short-term. It does provide them with a safe haven for a certain period of time, but long-term they should be thinking about modernization.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It actually affects a lot of the conversations that we're having with loads of people at the moment. And then working together, we can get around those conversations and help more.
So let's talk about Rail 10. Why is this release getting so much attention?
Right, so Rail 10 has been out for over a year now, but I'm still ranting and raving about it to all my clients. Fundamentally, it changes the way you look and manage a Linux operating system with some of the features that are included. There's obviously AI encompassed. Couldn't have an IT conversation to talk about AI, and that's in the form of the command line assistant for us. Things like image mode, which I'll dive into, change the day-to-day operations and can save clients hundreds, if not thousands of hours in the way they manage their Linux environment. And obviously security. Things like post-quantum encryption, Q-Day as they call it now, is becoming closer and closer. And to be the first Linux operating system to have that certified is fantastic news for our security for their clients.
So this isn't just a standard upgrade for creating.
No, I think the move between Rail 7 to 8 to 9 was not really feature rich. With Rail 10, we're really including a lot of new features and functionality, not just nice to have, but things that will genuinely change the way in which IT operations manage their systems.
So let's say I'm talking to a reseller or a reseller talking to an end user, and we need to say there's new features that you can get with Rail 10. What would you say the three main features that we could get customers hooked on to try and get inside?
Yeah, so number one, image mode. Kind of a technical concept to get your head round, but clients absolutely love it. The second would be in command line assistant, which is really helping us bridge the Linux skill gap. And the third would be post-quantum encryption.
Right, so someone has quite a few conversations artists we had, most definitely colleague. So what we're finding is that a lot of companies are still holding on to their operating systems and are looking to upgrade. Why do you think that is?
There are three reasons that it usually boils down to: time, costs, and the lack of information I have to. And rattle those three things together, and it's kind of like hands off. If it's running and I can extend support on it, why would I change it? But the issue is, you're only digging yourself a deeper hole. ELS is brilliant for some of the things that you've previously spoken about, but it is key to have a kind of upgrade path moving forward. So some of the reasons that we've spoken about, application dependencies, having certain hardware certifications that are only certified in certain versions of Rail, or just the lack of know-how to upgrade them. So there could be a whole range of reasons. I think the number one that I come across is usually application dependencies. And it's almost a chicken and egg between IT and the application owners as to who's going to make the move, who's going to pay for it, and what are the complexities looked at.
And I guess technical debt become a bigger issue the longer update the haste time.
Oh, massively. And yeah, the amount of technical debt that I do see, pretty much every client will have technical debt in some shape or form. The worrying thing now is with the likes of Mythos and some of the new AI capabilities exploiting CVEs, people are really starting to have to look at their technical debt in a much more serious way. And yes, by leaving it and doing nothing and racking expensive support around it, you're protecting yourself, but only so much.
One thing we're hearing about more with our customers is image mode. For our listeners, are you able to explain that simply?
Explaining it simply might be difficult, but I'll do my best. Linux inherently is quite a technical subject. Traditionally, the way which you've managed their Linux server has been with manual patching and updates that you do to each server. So you do the same practice to each individual operating system. We've now flipped it on its head. Rather than having to patch and maintain thousands of different servers, you now have one image. So as long as you maintain, update, and patch this image then gets rolled out to all of your servers. In a nutshell, that's what image mode is.
So essentially what you're saying is really going to help with people with standardization and consistency within the platform.
Exactly that. Where you have so many servers or VMs to manage over a certain period of time, things may change, the configuration may drift, different updates or packages may reach certain servers and not others. With image mode, you standardize your practices. It's immutable, so from a security perspective, it's brilliant. And it makes things so much easier at scale.
Which is especially valuable when businesses are managing environment at scale.
Exactly that. Previously, RPM packages would have had to be downloaded to each server individually. So that could be tens of thousands of servers or operating systems across your on-prem or your cloud environment. Now it's one image going out to all of those, delivered in the same way that your RPM packages would be through satellite. It can mean patching and updates taking hundreds of hours to thousands, down to we're seeing even less than 10 minutes to be doing hundreds, thousands of servers. It's really going to change the game for system administrators.
So actually, the image mode is a huge reason for people to upgrade to about 10 because of the active timing and saving within the business system.
Absolutely. I think previously when we've had upgrades between versions or Rail 8 to 9 or 9 to 10, and the business has said, well, why are we going to upgrade? What are we actually getting from that? Is it just we're fitting timeframes for end of support dates? Something like image mode really does change the game as to a business justification of why you upgrade to Rail 10.
And with cybersecurity execs evolving constantly, business need confidence that their platform provider will stay ahead.
Exactly that. Security is not just a feature. It's fundamental to businesses in everything they're doing these days, especially with the likes of some of the AI features and capabilities that are coming out now. Knowing that your platform is is the most secure Linux platform on the environment, you can turn around to your security teams or your business and have faith in the fact that it's not going to be your Linux operating system that's the issue.
And I think that's one of the messages that we really support. So we can talk about RHEL to a lot of our customers, but actually not all of them, I don't keep wanting the same thing, though the security is involved or embedded in what we're offering. So yeah, we're speaking to people every single day and about RHEL, but I think a lot of people don't know that the security element is actually involved in it or it's included within what's being offered. Do you think that's something you're seeing, and how can we kind of solve it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the operating system is often not the first thing on people's minds when they're talking about technology or even within businesses, but is absolutely fundamental to that. And making sure that RHEL has all the security features and the trusted software supply chains that are built into it is so key for our clients to understand, so they can make sure that when they go back to their businesses, they really do understand that RHEL has all this within it already.
First one, do organizations need to know from cloud to benefit from RHEL?
Absolutely not. RHEL sits wherever your environment is, whether that's in the cloud, whether that's on-prem, whether that's at the edge. Everywhere you look, when you're out and about and you see technology, there'll be some kind of Linux operating system that's at the heart of that. So we can be anywhere.
I think that's also quite an important point, because actually we use technology every single day, and what we're selling people is already out there. They just don't see it. Just because they can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
Would you say Rel was native for large enterprises?
It's a really good question. The answer is no. Rel sits everywhere. I've talked to clients that are small local councils all the way up to tier 1 banks and everything in between. Whether you're running 2 virtual machines or 50,000, Rel will give you that same enterprise feel wherever you are. It really comes down to what the business need is. If it's me running 2 servers on my home environment, I might not need the enterprise grade support Rel provides. But say, for example, I'm a small healthcare provider, I do need that support. So it's not just for the super large enterprises, although I think 99.9% of the 3500 will have Rel in some shape or form. It really depends what your need is.
So what's the biggest reason why organizations upgrade to newer versions of Rel?
I would say there are 2 things. One is life cycle. So making sure that you're moving along with Rel's life cycle to ensure that you're still getting support and that you don't need to have extended support. That's the traditional way. The second would be functionality. With things like image mode, post-quantum encryption, and command line assistant, and the features that we talked about in Rel 10, we're really seeing our customers drive towards being on the later versions of Red Hat Enterprise Orgs.
So, to wrap it up, Rel is not just an operating system. It's become a critical foundation for hybrid cloud, automation, AI, and enterprise security.
And I think as organizations are continuing to modernize their infrastructure, consistency, scalability, and security are becoming more important than ever.
Exactly that. At its core, Rel is a Linux operating system. But the reason why it's Rel and Red Hat Enterprise Linux is everything outside of the operating system that Red Hat provides, whether that's the 10 years lifecycle support, the ecosystem, the included SaaS offerings, the security, the way in which you manage it, and the rich depth of new features coming to Rel with the likes of Rel 10 and things like that. That's what made Rel Rel.
No, Dom, I learned so much from you today. Thank you so much for me. So, thank you very much.
We'll see you next time as we continue exploring the technologies of shaping future enterprise IT.